All right, it is Content Creation Mastery Class 2. This is Doc, and thanks for coming along. Looking forward to doing some cool stuff. I have actually noted with interest that I've only had 8 people come back to me with the work from last week. I am assuming that if you're on this call, you have done the work. I certainly hope that you have. And I know, Michael, I got yours. I definitely remember seeing that. So well done to you. I've got a lot of content to get through. So without any further ado, I reckon that we might just get started. Hey, Paul, how you going? So let's have a look. Creating high-quality content through curated news stories. I wanted to take you through this strategy. Very cool. So I'll just move that over there. Sorry, guys, a little bit of housekeeping here. All right, so curating news stories, it's a great way to create really high-quality content without having to write it all yourself. Although you don't have to create your stories from scratch, there's still a distinct skill in being able to choose the right stories and making really relevant comments on them. Curated news stories really great for your readers because they get to know what's going on in the world in your particular niche, and it allows you to provide a go-to source of information for them. So this is a really cool way to be able to also provide a little bit of content. So the curated story route as we continue along the journey. Now, the next thing I wanted to do was have a look at, why isn't that working? There we go. Have a look at what content curation really is. And content creation means sharing a piece of content and then adding your 2 cents worth. Okay, like we've talked about this concept of curating different pieces of work. It could be one or more, of news stories, images, infographics, videos, blog posts, articles, anything that you feel your audience would like. It's a little bit like sharing on social media, but the difference is that you summarize or you comment. You have an opinion on what goes out, okay, and that's an important point of difference. By adding your own ideas, you get a better opportunity to connect the content to your readers and also use it as a way of positioning yourself as an expert as you teach them something. Okay, so that's kind of the concept behind this whole content curation thing that we're talking about. If you have any questions, by the way, folks, just please feel just to stick your hand up or ask the question as we go along, okay? I've got a couple of hands up here. Let me just see who that is. Paul, did you have your hand up for a question? If not, I'm going to move along. No, I think we're all good. Okay. So, where do you find stories to share? How do you find them? For me, the best news stories to share are the ones that are most recent. There are a whole ton of ways to find really good recent stories. Subscribe to or bookmark news stories in your niche. Perform Google News searches with keywords that might be relevant to your niche, and just limit the search via date. So maybe just search the last week, last couple of weeks. Go to Twitter and look for trending topics. Okay, so look for things that are trending. That's a really good one. You could use online curation tools or software to feed relevant content in a whole lot of multiple areas. To give you an example, there's a few different pieces of software that I've used. There's one called Curation Soft. There's another one called Flipboard. And there's one called Feedly, F-E-E-D-L-Y. So there's Feedly, Flipboard, and Curation Soft. A few different places where you could grab that information from. The easiest way to share a story is to link to it, write an introduction, write a short summary along with your comments, and then a conclusion. The best way I can think of to wrap up your post is to ask your readers for their opinions. So get your reader to get interactive, yeah? Get them to be interactive with what you're doing. You could use the curated story to basically write a whole new original blog post just in a couple of minutes. And remember, this is all about helping you guys to create content, right? That's the whole idea of these 2 webinars. So after you summarize, elaborate using your own personal expertise, add some tips, add some ideas or anything else you feel your readers might want. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you have, I don't know, let's say you've got an idea, you might have a website about weight, for example. So you're in the losing weight niche, okay? You might share a story about the latest trends or the latest topics with regard to weight loss, okay? You might explain what to look for if people are looking for a weight loss program. You might explain the pitfalls, the different pitfalls. You might explain how to choose. The other thing that you could do, instead of linking to a story, you can include snippets of the story in your actual post. So make sure that the snippets stand out from your writing so that it's clear they're quotes from an article. The thing I like about this is that your readers don't then have to leave your site to read the story. Okay, so linking is fine, but sometimes you link someone somewhere, they go there and they don't come back. So I kind of like to have little key pieces of whatever it was, and then you comment on that, and then another key piece, and just make sure you put it in quote marks to let people know that it's not your stuff. And I think that's a really cool way to do things. I've actually noticed a few coaches do that with my stuff, by the way. Excuse me. So they'll say, you know, Glenn Murdoch wrote blah, 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 and then they'll comment on it. That's a cool thing to do. Okay, that works really well. How to curate a story. The easiest way to share a story, oh, sorry, hang on, where are we? How to curate multimedia. Content curation isn't just for text-based stories, okay, and for those kind of stories that you see. You can also share videos or images of recent things that have happened. Most important thing, like all curation, is to make sure that you add your own comments, your own opinions, your own tips, your own ideas, and always include a link back to the original story, and always ask for your readers' comments. I reckon the key to successful content curation is to publish the post or publish the story or publish the video, and then watch the readers' reactions, and you'll really quickly see the kinds of stuff that your guys are engaging with or not engaging with. Now, how can you tell that? You can tell that by the comments that they're making. The other thing that I think is really important to know, you guys that have all been set up with a website by Tyron, it's really simple to put what's called an embed video in your website. Okay, so it's really easy to embed back to your site. Excuse me for 1 second. And what you do there, you might see a YouTube video, for example, that you loved, or a video on TED Talks, or wherever it might be. What you can do is you can get what's called the embed code, and that's code that you can put on your website, and it'll mean that the actual video will play right there in your blog post. It's genius. It's so good to do that. So to give you the way that you do that, you just look for how to embed video in a WordPress site, and it's super easy. By the way, on your actual website members area, there's information on how to embed video. Okay, so I've got a question. And that said, and we acknowledge, as always, yeah, of course, always acknowledge the author. Yep. So I like multimedia curation. I think that it's a really cool way to get things going. Right at the start, I did a lot of multimedia stuff. So, and again, I'll go back to Ree, so the Mindset Warrior. Ree does lots of multimedia too, so she'll link lots of stuff back and forward to videos. I like the stuff that she's been doing. The one thing I would do, instead of sending, so you want to just embed the video in your blog, or in your news story or wherever it is, and then your opinion about it, ask for their opinion. Make sure you've got some nice share buttons for social media. Really cool ninja way to do things. All right. So in conclusion, the key to successful content curation is to publish posts regularly, watch the reactions, see what they want, and then give them more of what they want. And if there's something that doesn't resonate with your audience, just don't share that kind of stuff, okay? You want to always be testing and measuring and getting feedback. Cool? Nice and easy. All right, let's move along. You've got activity to do in your activity book. I know you're going to do it. You're going to need to find good sources of news in your niche, select 3 recent articles on a trending topic, create a blog post with links, summary, and your comments, okay? I want to remind you, you should be doing this kind of stuff multiple times per week, okay? Multiple times per week is what we're looking for. All righty. Excuse me. Easy content creation. How do you get data to an infographic? What is an infographic? Just as a matter of interest. Guys, give me some feedback. What's an infographic? What does it look like? Who's seen one? What are they? So what is an infographic is the question. Just waiting for some answers. So Michael says it's a picture with text. Yeah, close, Michael, close. What else? Rebecca doesn't know. That's cool. So the question again was, what is an infographic? Nat says, going to take a punt here, an image with info. Funnily enough, Nat, you're right on the money there. So it's an information graphic. It's images or an image with information provided with it. Yeah, super easy. And what works well in information graphics is what we're about to discuss. Okay, I love information graphics, by the way. I think they're a really cool way to do to create some really good content. The thing I like about infographics is that they're easy. Okay, the infographic itself is a graphic that will display data in an attractive, really easy way to digest format. They're perfect for presenting statistics, and if you've got some hard kind of data that could be difficult to convey using text alone or a bit wordy, infographics are a great way to do that. The data usually is visually represented so that it's easy to understand. Let me ask you this million-dollar question. What kind of information would be wonderful for you guys to use as an infographic in your niches? Give me some answers there. Curious as to what you come up with. So what kind of information as coaches do you think would be a really wonderful way to display data? And I can think of one off the top of my head that would be brilliant. Okay, so Mona says how successful life coaching is. Nat says belief systems, how we filter information. Michael says percentages of people facing a particular problem. Michael, I love that one. Yep. And then a percentage of the way that they try and solve it could be good. So let's go back to Mona, because I love Mona's answer. She said how successful life coaching is. I love that. What you can do is you can research the statistical relevance of people having a coach, the statistical benefit of having a coach, and then you can take that information, create an infographic. I can tell you right now where a lot of that information is available, and that is on the ICF website, the International Coaching Federation website, which, by the way, and I don't want to bang on about it, you guys should all be a member of the ICF now. Okay, so Jean said results of the percentage of achievements after people have worked with a coach. Yeah, I agree. These are the kinds of statistics that you're looking for. look at the statistics for how many people are using a coach, how many businesses are using a coach, what is the percentage of increase in productivity from using a coach. These are wonderful infographics for you to have on your website in your blog posts, okay? Get the idea? Good answers, guys. Like it. Like it, like it. We're getting there. The biggest benefit for you creating an infographic is that people love them, okay? Infographics, along with other images, are easily the most shared content on the web. So if you create stuff that's great, it'll get shared. What does that mean? It means you should have your logo or your website address on it, okay? They're shared super high on social media. The benefit of infographic creation is that it's super easy, just a matter of finding data and then plugging it into a visual format. It's that simple, okay? So that's what we can do with an infographic. I think the easiest way to create an infographic, by the way, is PowerPoint, but we'll sort of talk about that a little bit in a minute. All the infographics that you might create should all have 3 components. Component number 1 is the visual component, okay? The colors, the design, the layout, and the actual images that you use. Component number 2 is the actual content, the actual data that you're presenting. And these can be facts and figures, it can be tips, it can be resources, or any other type of content that you've got. And the third thing is the knowledge, your own comments, your own ideas, your own advice, putting your little bit of personality into it to help set the infographic apart from any others that are created. So this is where you can start to get a little bit of your creative flair happening, okay, with regard to creating these infographics. How do we create it? What do we do? I like to start with the content. If you're creating a data-based infographic, find the statistics or the other data that you're going to use from your niche. Put the content into a logical order, just as you would if you were writing an article. Write your own commentary on the data. So, in other words, explain to your audience what the facts and the figures actually mean. I reckon it's nice to write a little introduction for your infographic, and you might want to create a little bullet point for each item, okay? And right at the end, if you want to have a little conclusion for the infographic, you could do that too, okay? So, you know, that'll kind of work as well. So put the content in a logical order, all right? Write your own commentary. Make sure you've got the stats. Write an intro, bullet point for each, write a conclusion. Okay, everyone got that? Sorry, I've just got a question here from someone. Oh, Teddy's lost audio. Has anyone else lost any audio? Can I have a quick yes or no? Is my audio okay? All good. Teddy, can I ask you a question? Are you listening to this webinar wirelessly? So, Teddy, that one's for you. Yes or no, wireless? Yeah, Teddy, just a question. Are you listening to it wirelessly, darling? Connected to an Ethernet. Okay. Yeah, if you are connected wirelessly and you're on Wi-Fi, tough to get all the webinar, guys. You want to be connected to an Ethernet cable if you can. Okay, little tiny piece of advice for you. All right. Designing your infographic. You can create these yourself, or like everything, you can outsource them. There are programs where you plug in your content, choose a template and design features and make the graphic for you. These programs are a little bit limited because you have to alter your content to make it fit in the template, okay? If you've got some design skill, you can make much better graphics on your own. Before you make your infographic, it's a good idea to surf the web looking at other people's infographics. So just type in coaching infographic or just infographic in general. If you want the software, you can type in free or cheap infographic software, or just find on Elance or Fiverr someone who will create an infographic for you, okay? Or do what I do. Certainly at the start I did a little bit of this. Just create them in PowerPoint. PowerPoint's really cool for creating infographics because it's got little boxes and arrows and all the kinds of things that you might want. Excuse me for a quick drink. So a few different ways that you can go about actually designing your own one. What have we got there? Paul has said Prezi, Prezi.com is also good for doing that. Thanks, Paul. So Paul has said Prezi, Prezi.com is also a good place for that. Love it. Hiring help for your infographics. If you outsource infographic creation, create a rough outline for what you want. Okay. For a professional designer who's used to creating infographics, it's a really small job. It's super easy for them to do. You can get it done, seriously, for $5 on Fiverr. If you outsource the creation, you might want to create a really rough outline for them to follow. The outline will help them to make sure that your idea comes to fruition, okay? If you decide infographics are going to be a central component of your content creation strategy, you might want to hire a virtual assistant to take care of it for you. Get someone who can do them regularly. This is probably not a challenge that you've got right now, but long term it might be, okay? For the minute, I'd go with Fiverr, okay? I'd get a cool designer on Fiverr, and that person, if they're good, you just keep going back to them, okay? That would be the way I'd look at it, guys. Make sure everything that you create is shareable. So when you publish it, you want to make sure it's as shareable as possible. Include all of the social media buttons so people can share it. Include any links that they might need if you want them to embed it. Include anything that you might want your audience to have to pass it along. And make sure it's got your website address on it. Yeah, www.yourawesomeaddress.com, so that people, when they share it, can go back to you. Okay, really important that you do that too, guys. Just going to stop here for a second. I think we've got a question. Okay. Michael says, what's the email address that I can send to a sample infographic or you to look at and give feedback? Michael, this is the thing. I'm not your avatar. So I'm not the person who you need to get feedback from. Put it out to the marketplace, buddy. Stick it out to the marketplace, and your market will tell you whether or not it's any good, because they'll comment on it and they'll share it. And if they don't comment and they don't share, they don't believe that it's what they're looking for. And just send out multiple. There's no right or wrong here. No need to have any kind of certainty patterns running around this. Just create it, share it, see how it goes. All easy, okay? And just stick it out. Michael, does that help? Just let me know. Yeah, cool, buddy. Good one. And you get the intention there, right? It's just be prolific, not perfect. I always come back to saying that. I really want you guys to get it. Be prolific, not perfect. Just get it out. See what happens. All righty. Now, your activity, and it's the next activity in your workbook that you're going to need to work through for this unit of work. Create your own infographic. So you're going to need to spend an hour or so surfing the web, looking at infographics, do some Google searches for keywords in your niche, okay, and your niche and infographic. So if you're in the weight loss niche, weight loss infographic, for example. Use the infographic design worksheet to plan it, gather some data, write an outline, you get it, it's all there, okay? Alternatively, go to Fiverr, search for infographics, hire someone to create one for you. It's the easy way to do it, okay? It's just going to save you so much time. So that's your options. That's your activity. Please remember, this two webinar series is not created so I can sit here and create a whole lot of content for you and you not do anything. It's to help you start creating content. So start creating it, start sharing it, start putting on our Facebook page, start letting people know what you're doing, okay? Really important that you do that. Content template, the how-to post. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work out how to create the how-to post, okay? One of my favorite pieces of content that you can create. A really simple template for creating helpful content to your audience, and it's content that they'll love, and it's called a how-to post. How-to articles are the most common, most shared, most consumed information on the web, by the way. helpful to readers, and they show your expertise. So the how-to post is a really cool thing for you guys to share. Now, the process for creating a how-to post is so easy. Take one simple task or trick that you know how to do well and explain it from beginning to end for your readers, okay? So what you do is you write down each step in detail in simple conversational language, just like you're explaining it to a friend. Add an intro that identifies the problem, the post solves the problem, and then a conclusion, okay? So that's the how-to. I'll quickly run through it again. Take one simple task or a trick that you know how to do well, explain it from beginning to end to your readers, write down each step in detail in simple language, just like you're explaining it to a friend, add an intro that identifies what the problem was, the post obviously is going to solve the problem, then a really quick conclusion, okay? So for example, actually let me do this. Give me some examples in your particular niche that you've got right now or you're thinking about having. Give me an example of a how-to that you could have. Go for it. What's an example of a how-to? And I'll give you an example in my old niche, in the dating type relationship niche, okay? How to catch a guy and keep him. How to reignite your passion. How to be a tutor. How to overcome procrastination. I like it. What else have we got? Excuse me. We should have 20 or so of these. How to attract and control your love life. Don't like the word control there so much, Michael, but I kind of like where you're going. How to gain more confidence. How to find your soul purpose or your purpose. I like that. How to include more veggies in your diet. How to motivate clients to stay positive. How to attract and find the ideal happiness in your relationships. What else have we got? How to maintain sporting confidence. Yeah, or Glenn, how to find sporting confidence. Or how to perform at your best when it counts. Good stuff for you, Glenn, in that kind of niche. How to love and enjoy life the way you want to. How to keep a positive outlook. How to get a pay rise. I like that one, Teddy. Awesome. How to build an Excel chart. Alex, a little bit AD, good one. How to be happier. How to be happy. How to lose the weight and keep it off. How to find your dream job and become the best at it. Michael, I like where you're going with your actual, the linking. They're good. You're starting to get a really nice marketing head. How to rid yourself of mummy guilt. Oh, I like that, Nat. Really good. How to rid yourself of mummy guilt. Good one. Cool. You guys get it. Well done. That was really, really good. Love it. So you've got some ideas there of how to do it. Super good. Now, what can you how to? We had a little bit of a look there. You can how to absolutely anything that you do in your daily life, okay? Anything that you do in your niche. And what I want you to do is just brainstorm all of the things anybody would ever need or want in your niche. And they're the examples. Everything anyone would ever want or need in your niche. And guess what? You guys just started to do that, okay? I looked this afternoon and just typed in how to, and these are the 10 I came up with that I saw. How to insert images in WordPress. How to get bloodstains out of clothes. Good one for the serial killers amongst us. How to tie a necktie. How to wash a car. How to cook a grilled cheese sandwich. These are real on the internet. How to tune a guitar. How to change a diaper. How to prepare your backyard for organic gardening. How to treat a case of fleas in your dog. How to open a bottle of wine. How to write a tweet. How to make the perfect cup of espresso. Cool, right? These are top 10 how-tos, by the way. Funny. So that's how you can, that's what you can create from your how-to. What about adding an image? How-to posts usually benefit from having an image, guys, okay? Your post then not only tells the reader how to do the task, but it will show them. Take pictures of the process with a camera, okay? Take pictures of befores and after. If the task you're teaching is computer-based, use screenshots. And so for those of you that are in like the marketing niche, and a couple of people doing that, small business startup, I know you're getting there. Your how-to visual, your how-to post, if you can make it visual, works really well. Think about it now. Think about the examples that we had back there, and think about the images that you could use. Okay, and I'm going to just refresh your memory. How to set an effective goal. How to reignite your passion. How to overcome procrastination. How to gain more confidence. And if you think about this and start to get funky with it, what about if you start to have a little mini infographic with cartoons that goes with your steps on the how-to? Okay, so there's a whole range of really fun ways that you can play around with this. Cool. Hey, we're having a lot of fun. Let me check in. Is this useful? Are you guys enjoying the content? Is it all kind of hitting the market with helping you to become a content creation master? Cool. Awesome. Everyone's loving it. Beautiful. Let's move along. Video tutorials. Now, this is the thing. An even better way to show your readers how to do something is to create a video. Okay, so you can produce the video, show your audience how to do it step by step. Produce the audio, show your video, your punters how to do it step by step. If the task needs you to do something on a computer, just use screen capture. If it doesn't, video of you is wonderful. Okay, excuse me. They don't need to be super well produced. I like them to be relatively entertaining if possible. The other thing you can do with video that I love, and you can do this on Fiverr, is you can get them to create those copy doodle videos. You know, the videos where the hand writes, or the videos where they're a cartoon. And I reckon it might cost you a little bit more. We've done a few of those. It might be $10 instead of $5. But that's a really cool way to do those. And you've got the option of being able to annotate your own voice over the top, or you just send them the script and they write it for you. But that's another really great way to do how-to videos. Cool. So there's some, there's some ways you can do that with video and putting that on there. I think video is wonderful. People love video, and even if you just stand in front of a camera with a nice clear background behind you, that on its own would be a really great way to produce a video. If you want to go one step further, get a really bright light green piece of material behind you that'll act as a green screen. Make sure it's nice and flat, and send it to eLance or to Fiverr, and have someone just create it into white. Okay, and then put it into the back of your post, and it'll just be this really lovely professional looking video. Okay, a few options there for you to play with. Aside from brainstorming lists of how-to ideas for your niche, you could also do a little bit of research for topic ideas. Now, how do we do it? Find your target market on social media, on forums, on blogs, on Google, and make a list of all of the questions that you see them asking. Okay, and this is starting to get into the head of your avatar. Okay, starting to work out what are the questions that they want answered, what are the things they want information about. And I've got to tell you guys, and those of you that have done the 2-day advanced marketing for coaching stuff will get this, the more clearly that you can explain to your perfect client, your avatar, the more clearly that you can explain to them, hey, I know your problems, and I can identify your problems even better than you can. The more clearly you can do that, the more chance there is that they will attribute you with having the answer. I'm just going to say that again. I'm going to repeat this. The more clearly you can define their problems for them, the more closer you are to having them attribute you with the answer. So get inside the head of your avatar. What keeps them up at night? What do they wish they had? If they had a perfect world 12 months from first working with you, what would it look like? What is the biggest challenge that they've got? What's the challenge they've got they don't want people to know? What's their hidden challenge? What's the challenge they'd be mortified if people knew about them? What are the 5 things they need to be happy? What are the 5 things they need to smile? Start getting into the head of your perfect client and start creating some answers for them. And then you become the trusted advisor. You become the expert in their niche. Okay? All right, couple of questions. Teddy, on the 29th of March, which is just 10 days ago, you're going to learn all about avatar. And what an avatar is for us, it's your perfect client. What does he or she look like? How old are they? What's their profession? What's their problem? What's their dreams? You really get down. We do a lot of work on this, by the way, in that 2-day sales and marketing training that you're going to get in a couple of weeks' time. Okay. Now, use the how-to template in your workbook to create a brand new article. You're going to need to brainstorm the needs related to your niche. You're going to need to select one and fill in the steps. You're going to need to include an introduction and a conclusion, and you're going to need to find or create some images. Okay, nice and easy. And there's some more work for you. So this is a pretty profound piece of work for you guys to do, right? All right, content templates. The FAQ, and I like this as well, the FAQ, the frequently asked question. Let's have a look at how the FAQ can work for you, all right? You know FAQ stands for frequently asked questions. Nearly every single website on the internet has one. These questions are the most common and basic questions people might ask about a certain topic, in particular your niche, right? The FAQ lists the questions and the answer, and sometimes you might have a link to a more detailed information, okay? Really easy to create, really helpful for readers. Let's have a little bit more of a look at how the FAQ can help you out and how you can use it for content creation. Finding the questions to answer, and again, guys, you've got to know what your avatar is looking for, all right? Start brainstorming common questions you've heard related to your niche. These are things like questions people have asked before, basic questions, questions that you might find on a blog. Do some research. Go to blogs, forums, social media sites, Google, and find out what people are asking for. You can do keyword searches for words relating to your niche, keyword searches for questions about your niche, okay? The other thing that I want you to do is we'll get to where you can repurpose this FAQ stuff as well, okay? This is the thing. You need to copy and paste the questions that you find into a document. Write a short answer for each of the questions. Try and answer the question quickly and concisely, okay? And if the answer is too long, have it as a link with its own page, okay? Even better, if you get a really big answer and you think, wow, I can't really explain this quickly, write a blog post, okay? So put the answer on the blog post. Make content from it, all right? Make content from it. As always, have an introduction to your FAQ, have a conclusion, and then you've got another beautiful piece of content ready for your readers, right there, ready for you to use. Super cool. Can I give you something a little bit more ninja with regard to FAQ? Do you want something a little bit more ninja? Just give me a yay for yes, a yes for your Y for yes. Cool. This is the other thing you can do. Create your FAQs based on your strengths and your opposition's weaknesses. Your strengths and your opposition's weaknesses. So again, go to the 2 or 3 competitors you've got in the market, Google, find the sponsored ads, find out what their weakness is, find out what your strength is, and create the FAQs based on that. And what we're doing when we do this is we're setting the buying criteria. Write that down. You're starting to set the buying criteria. Let me give you some examples of how I do this to help you out. I will set my buying criteria based on my strengths in the school. What are my strengths? My strengths are price, number one. My strengths are value for money, in no particular order, number two. My strengths are we have nationally recognised through the Australian Board of NLP, NLP trainer. My strengths are that we have a pathway to International Coaching Federation recognition. My strengths are that we build you a website. My strengths are that we provide a whole backup marketing system, including a 2-day training to help you be successful. Cool? So what I do is my FAQs are based on questions that I want people that I want them to really ask. So number one might be, what qualifications or what accreditations are important for a school? And I'll list ABNLP, ICF. What are the things that a student should be looking for as far as support? Well, I'll talk about lots of face-to-face training, ability to ring the owner one-on-one and talk about your business, marketing training, website support, creating your website. Do you get the idea? And what I'm doing is I'm saying to my punters, hey, these are the things that are important. These are the things that you should be looking for. And I'm setting the criteria. I'm setting the criteria that they look for. So think about that in your coaching business. What do you have that someone in your niche doesn't have? Is it NLP? Are you an NLP practitioner? And most people aren't. Put it down. Are you an NLP master practitioner? And I can tell you if you are, you're in the top 5 or 6% of coaches in the country. Are you a trained extended disc consultant? Fantastic. Put it down. Have you got 100,000 years experience at the coalface as a sales guy? You get the idea? So you find the things and you put them as FAQs and set the buying criteria. Cool? So let me give an example. Let's say that you want to have an FAQ about weight loss. You might be able to separate the questions into categories like diet or exercise or stress management. And if you can't think of the categories, try to put the questions in logical order that go from the most general to the most specific. Okay, so FAQs, another great way to create some content. And you can have multiple FAQs, by the way, multiple. How can you repurpose FAQ content you create? Say you've got a whole ton of questions. You can choose to expand each one into its own FAQ. Let's use that example I just gave you as the diet, okay? You might have a diet FAQ, an exercise FAQ, and a stress management FAQ. You can take one FAQ and create a number of FAQs with fewer questions but longer involved answers. You could turn questions from your FAQ into articles on their own and put them on your website. You can repurpose old content into frequently asked questions by questioning your answers, okay? In other words, take a point that you make or a problem that you solve in an article and then come up with a question someone might ask about the article. Cool? Super easy. So there's a whole range of ways that you can repurpose even your frequently asked questions. Starting to really get a whole range of ways to develop content here, guys. You're getting it? All right, let's move along. Where to start? This is the thing. Start the entire process by assembling a master list of every single question you can think of. Once you've got that massive list, it's easy to see how you can create your FAQs, how you can create your categories, how you can separate articles that will answer specific questions. And if you see that a certain question is asked multiple times, that's a good one to make a post about, okay, or multiple posts. So you need to do a little bit of work on that. What are all of the frequently asked questions someone could have? I'm going to now open it up to you guys here on the call. What are all of the questions someone might have for a coach? Go for it. Give me some answers. Let's start to generate a little bit of mind mapping or brainstorming here. What are some you can think of? What qualifications do you have? So the question could become, what are the qualifications I should look for in a coach? And if you've got NLP, you sure as hell want to put it down there. If you're a diploma, you want to put that down there. Cool. How will you help me? I love that, Hannah. Really good. How to know if I need a coach? Love that, Rini. Awesome. What is it that you actually do? So, Nat, what is it you actually do? I'd prefer that repurposed. How is it that you can actually help me? Okay. Michael, how long will it take me for me to see results? That's really good. What else have we got? You get in there. Try and put one up. If you're on this call, I want you to have an answer for me. There are 20 of you. I should have 20 of these answers. Teddy, I like it. How is coaching different from counseling? Really, really, really good. What else have we got? This is cool. What about this, guys? What are the results? What are the results by people that have utilized coaching? And it doesn't need to be your coaching. It just needs to be by coaching. Who should have a coach? I like that. Michael says, why would I come to you? Yeah, good. What's your USP? What is it? By the way, I'm running a specific training about unique selling proposition as well, okay? But I'm going to twist it around a little bit. That's a training coming up. Rebecca says, do you coach one-on-one or group coaching? So, Rebecca, let's rephrase that. If you do group coaching, maybe what you do is you have a question, frequently asked question, why is group coaching better than one-on-one? Should I choose a one-on-one coach or a group coach? Why should I choose a webinar over a live training? You want to reposition yourself, okay? Cool, well done. All right, let's move along. Good answers, good answers, good answers. Where are we? So much content, such little time. You've got another activity. You've got your workbook. Make sure that you go back to your workbook. Please brainstorm the frequently asked questions, take a number of the related questions, create the FAQ. All of this is in there in your workbook, okay? So you just need to follow it through and use the ideas that we've got from the class, take them through. Now, let's have a look at this. Easy content creation idea from tips to slides to video. All right, I love this, by the way. We'll start with tips to slides. Really great way to repurpose all of your old content and create something totally new is to take the tips and turn them into slides, take the slides and turn them into videos. Not only does it provide you with an easy way to create fresh content, it also benefits your audience by giving them multiple ways to digest your information. Some people want to watch the video, some people like the slides, some people like the actual written stuff, some people want it audio, okay? The other thing is it gives you a chance to put things on Google that will link back to your website and start to position you as an authority in your niche, okay? And that becomes important as well. And it's really easy to do. The other thing I love about this is that you can repurpose all kinds of content into slides that's your own language. You can easily create, and we'll talk about in a minute, you can easily create these slides into videos. How do we put a tip into a slide? You take any text-based content that you've got and convert it easily into slides. Just take the text, put it into something like Microsoft PowerPoint or Keynote if you're a crazy Mac user. An easy way to make a slideshow is to turn the first sentence of each paragraph into a slide and then use the rest of the paragraph as your video script. I'll say that again. The first sentence of the paragraph is the slide, the actual slide heading, and then use the rest of the paragraph as your video script. Okay? Usually the first sentence is going to summarize what's happening anyway. That's how a paragraph is generally written. So you can do exactly what I've done here. You can see that I've got tips to slides as my heading, turn each tip into a slide and add an explanation if necessary, and then I've gone on and I've added all of the explanation as the video. Cool? You do the same thing. I don't know if you know this, guys, but with PowerPoint, you can add an oral annotation to a slide. So if you don't have if you haven't got cool kind of, and there's, by the way, I still think the easiest way to do this is to have screen capture software, but if you haven't got screen capture software, you can do it through PowerPoint. If you haven't got screen capture software, there are free, F-R-E-E, free screen capture softwares available, okay? What does the screen capture software do? It enables you to record what's on the screen and your voice, okay? Which is, by the way, exactly what I'm doing here with this webinar, so that it then just becomes a video file that I can stick up onto YouTube. By the way, that's how you guys watch these later on when you go to the website in the members area, okay? It's all screen capture stuff. All right, let's move along. The big thing now is, okay, how do I create a slide to a video? And there are multiple ways you can do it. You've got the screen capture stuff, which we've talked about. There's other sort of softwares that I've come across. There's one called Slide Snack, as in I want to eat a snack, Slide Snack. There's another one called Animoto, A-N-I-M-O-T-O, Animoto. But remember, if you use PowerPoint 2010 or above, you can record your slides as a video within the software. And once the slides are done, you can record yourself talking as you go through the slides, explaining each slide, elaborate where you need, and then you save the whole slide as a video. It's so cool. So PowerPoint will allow you to do that straight up. Really neat thing that PowerPoint does, and super easy. And you know, the funny thing, most people don't even know that they can do it with PowerPoint. Most people have no idea they can even do that. Oh, I've got some questions. Hang on a tick. Let me go back. Sorry, I just noticed that there were some questions. What have we got? Oh, no, I haven't. Sorry, I take it back. No questions. We'll move along. Types of slideshow content. Any kind of content can be turned into a slideshow, guys, or a slideshow video, and there are certain types of content where it works the best. The step-by-step how-to post is ideal for slideshows, okay, because each slide is a new step. The slide provides the visuals necessary to help the viewer accomplish the task, okay, so that works really well. Any content offering tips can be turned into great slideshows. You just summarize each tip in one sentence, put it on the slide, and then explain it by utilizing your voice. FAQs are good for slideshows, because you can put the one question on the slide and then give the answer, okay? Another idea is to put only a question on the slide and have the next slide show the answer. So that can work as well. Any infographic can be easily turned into a slideshow by taking each bit of the data, okay, and put that bit on its own slide. Excuse me. So that works really well as well. Webinars make wonderful slideshows because you summarize the presentation, give attendees something to download and keep, okay? I record all of my webinars. You guys get that. Every webinar goes on the membership area somewhere on the membership site. And they're just, you kind of get to triple dip with a webinar. You get the live webinar like we've got now, massive value. You record the webinar, you get to put it on a membership area. Guess what? When you've got a membership area with 200 hours worth of wonderful content, you've got a seriously expensive membership site that will provide for you passive income, $50, $80, $100, $200, $400 a month as a membership site, okay? The third thing is, once you've got that video recorded, you can utilize it to show people how great the stuff you do is. So you can send an email that might say, hey, hooked up 10 minutes of this class. Why don't you check it out? This is some cool stuff that I do. And you get a third way to use your recorded webinar or your recorded slide, okay? So webinars are brilliant like that. All right. The key to break it, so the key for me, break it up into main points or sub-points. Each point gets a slide. Arrange them in a logical order so that it's like reading an article or a blog post. Your slideshow and your slideshow videos can then be embedded in your site, posted on YouTube. You can put them up to directory sites. There's a whole lot of slide sharing type sites, okay? Please make sure you always put your URL on every page, www. blah, 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 or at least on the first and the last page. How people can contact you on the last page. make sure the last page lasts for about a minute so that they can write it down. Although they can pause it, always nice to have it there for a little bit longer. This is the other thing you can do. Find a book that you loved, okay? And this is where Catherine is genius. Find a book that you love or a series of books that you've loved and write down the key things you loved out of the books and create your own presentation based on them, okay? Always give references, so it's important to say, I referenced a whole lot of, I got a whole lot of stuff out of this book by Tony Robbins. Loved it. It's really cool. Want to explain it to you. And you put your spin on it. You explain it your way. I've done this multiple times with 6 core needs with Tony Robbins. Yeah, I love 6 core needs. It's so much easier to coach than Maslow's hierarchy, right? So we've repurposed 6 core needs 1,000 different ways because it's cool for coaches to have. You guys can do that as well. And when you put it in your own words, you really take ownership of the content. You really take ownership of it with your examples and how it works for you. So that's how you can do that. All right. You've got another activity. Make sure that you now go and do this. Get some regular content, get some key points, make a slideshow, create a video version of your slideshow. I would love it if all of you, and I'm only going to ask you to do one thing for me from this whole 2 weeks. I want all of you to do this, okay? I want you to create this for me. Okay, we've got a little bit of work to do, so I'm going to keep pushing through. I want to get through tonight, okay? So that's the one thing I want you to do for me from all of the stuff that we've talked about, from all of the activities you've got, from the workbook you've got to fill in. I want you to do one thing. I want you to create a little slide presentation and create it into a video, and I want you to share it with me. So you're going to need to create it. You're going to need to put it up onto YouTube. You're going to need to share the link with me. And I'm going to embed it on my website so people can see what you've created. Can everyone give me a Y for yes or an N for no telling me that you're going to do that one task this week? Go for it. And by the way, I don't care if the show only has 4 slides, 5 slides, okay? It's fine. I want you to share some cool stuff that you know about coaching. Teddy with that wonderful coverall. We're doing NLP prac training this week. I am going to give you my answer to that, Teddy, and it's this. I want you to share one little tiny snippet from your NLP training that you love, and I want you to share that with me, and I want you to give me that as your slideshow, okay? So there's a little tiny piece of homework that I want you to do. So I want you to go through your NLP or through your matrix training and this is the great thing. You're going to know, you're going to own it. You might do the NLP communication model. You might do the principles of success. By the way, you've got your manual, okay? You've got your NLP manual. Take something out of there. You might do rapport, rep system. Doesn't matter. Find something, create some content, share it with me. Show me that you appreciate the love for the last 2 weeks and show me that you're really going to action this, okay? So I expect 20 of you to do that in the next week, okay? No excuses. All right, a couple little things to finish off. Bear with me. We're nearly there, okay? We're nearly there. Now, what did I do? I know I had some work for you guys to do. Last little piece. So what I want you to do is I want you to create an editorial calendar, all right? An editorial calendar. How are you going to do that? What's it going to look like? Let's have a really quick look. You've got a whole heap of ways that I've taught you that you can have for content templates and for really easy content creation, all right? You've got a whole lot of those now. I want you to start pumping out some content. Okay, but there's one piece of the puzzle missing, and that is how do you make it work? How do you create a system to make all of this work? The editorial calendar is the way that you're going to do it. Okay, it's going to give you a schedule for creating and posting your content. Let me show you how it looks. You need to start by creating a content creation schedule for the next 4 weeks. It's a really good trial period for you. It'll get you started. You'll be able to see how it goes. You might find that the schedule you created is too demanding. That's okay. You might find that you need to cut back. That'll be fine. You might need to find you'll need to outsource. That's okay. On the other hand, you might find you're doing it easily. You might find you're a content creation genius, in which case you can do more and start pumping out some more. Okay? So I want you to do this over the next 4 weeks. This is how you do the schedule. You start by deciding on a publishing schedule. Decide how much time needs to go into each little creation. Decide when you'll publish and include all types of content in your strategy. Remember, we've looked at things like articles, blog posts, infographics, videos, slideshows, curated news stories. There's a whole lot of stuff you've got. Decide on the frequency and then the actual days when you will publish, okay? Then, in order to meet your schedule, I want you to decide when you need to create each piece of content and work it into your routine. It's got to be diarized. You should spend a little time every day working on your content, okay? So set a deadline for when it needs to be done. Please, guys, keep in mind certain types of content will take a little longer than others. Video production is going to take a little bit more time, although funnily enough, I'm standing here, I think video is the quickest, yeah? Irene, who I know is on the call, she would probably think that writing stuff's the quickest because she types like the wind. I can't type to save my life, but I can talk with a mouth full of golf balls underwater. But video production for some people takes a little bit longer. Turning an article into a slideshow takes just a couple of minutes, okay? I think writing takes a little bit longer. You know, you've got to break up the phases of writing. You have a crack and see what's going to take longer and less with you. You'll have your way that's going to work the best. Okay, so play around with it. The 4-week period that you've got is just your trial period, okay? I want you to alter it during and after. I want you to monitor your results. I want you to test and measure. I want you to see whether you can get everything done without sacrificing quality. Where there's some tasks that took a little bit longer, where there's some that were quicker, where there's some that were slower. Could you fit in more content creation time? Did you need less? Measure your results mostly based on what you get done, what you get published, and if you've already got some posse, whether they like it. Okay, it doesn't matter if you haven't. I want you to start creating some content, okay? But if you have got a posse, do they like it? If you're creating stuff and putting it on Facebook, are people sharing it? Do people see it and go to your website? Are people embedding it? So there's a whole range of ways to monitor that. I would love it if you guys could create 4 pieces of content in the next 4 weeks at least, okay? Minimum. I'd like more, but that's my minimum, okay? So you've now got a whole lot of ideas. You've got templates. You've got a schedule. You are ready to get started, okay? You're ready to get started. So I want you now to go back to the manual that I created for you. I want you to do all of the tasks in there, and I want you to create 4 pieces of content in the next month. I want to also thank you for your time and your dedication to becoming better at this. I want to thank you for turning up. I want to thank you for doing the work, the people that have. I want to thank you in advance for doing the work, the people who are going to. I'm going to share something with you. If you can become an amazing creator of content, then you can have a wonderful personal development business. If you can't, you just need to become a wonderful outsourcer of content, okay? But you must develop content in your niche. Those of you that have been to the Advanced Marketing Weekend know why. You've got to become a trusted advisor. And you can only become a trusted advisor if you're sharing wonderful things with your posse, okay? Guys, I'm going to hang around, answer any questions that you might have, but I'm mindful of time, and I've got a little man who needs me to put him to bed. So If you've got any questions, please quickly throw them up now. If I don't get them to them, I promise that if you send them through via email, I'll get back to them, or Irene will. There's no code for tonight, no code. Nat says little each day recommendation. Nat, my recommendation would be come up with one piece of content per week and then just work a little bit each day on that one piece of content. That'd be the way to go. Thank you for the thank yous. Really appreciate it. I'm going to officially stop the recording now, so if you're listening to this after the class, thanks for coming along. Press stop, go and do all of the work that you now need to do to make some fun stuff happen and send it to me. Look forward to catching up soon.